All right, well, week 2 is done. Stations is so interesting, but it's great. I'm still getting in the flow of it for sure. And it still definitely has its challenges for me. But I think we're getting the hang of it. I think the kids, like always, are getting the hang of it a lot faster than I am getting the hang of it. For me, that always seems to be the truth with my new exploratory curriculum and with blended learning. I think something that I should probably explain about this year, kind of an interesting experiment for me this year is in my new school district, I'm getting to kind of pilot something new. And so half of my classes, I'm piloting the Mathematic Vision Project for them. And then in the other half of my classes, I'm doing kind of that linear textbook model that a lot of schools still do. And so I'm blending both of those models. And so what's kind of cool for me is that I'm still getting to do the program I did last year with the Mathematic Vision Project, but I'm also getting to say, I wonder what it would be like to blend textbooks, and I wonder what it would feel like to go back to a textbook model. And so I'm getting to compare those types of classes side by side this year. And I'm getting to see what those feel like side by side, and both of those in a blended environment. So that's been really interesting. Also remember I did module 0, which was review. In all of my classes I did expressions, I did fractions, because we know everybody needs review on those, all the way through 9, well, I guess I have 8th graders too, 8 through 12. And I did lines and slopes, and then in my pre-calc class I also did trig and complex numbers. And so we just finished that up in week 2. And when they did their surveys, oh my gosh, the surveys were so great. And a couple of the survey responses I just kind of wanted to hit on. I had one student who said in her survey responses, she just said, you know, I feel so much more confident about my answers with blended learning because, you know, they get that immediate response of, hey, you're right, or hey, you're wrong, try again. Those kind of things. I had another student who said, I really love this new way of math. I really love exploring. She was from a class where we did our first task in Mathematic Vision Project and where they started that exploratory type math. And so it was kind of fun to see, you know, and I got the whole gamut of surveys from kids who said, yeah, I remember all this stuff, so I didn't feel like I learned a whole lot, but it was a nice review. And I had other students who said, wow, it was really nice to understand slopes and lines for the first time, or those kind of things. So it helped me gauge too each student as they started filling out those surveys. And with blended learning, it was so great to run through those in just a few seconds rather than shuffling papers and spending hours at home. And let's be honest, I would have never given a survey like that had I not been doing blended learning, or had I done it once, I would have said, wow, this was cool, but it took way too much time and I cannot do that. I am overloaded. One of the things that I wanted to say with stations that I did that was so awesome, last year, not having stations in each of my classes with the blended portal, I just broke each class up just into class hours. So I had like 3rd hour, 4th hour. So on my iPad or on my computer in my gradebook, I could just split them up like that to look at them. And last week I thought, you know, this would be really convenient to break them up by their groups. So while I'm working with kids at desks, I can look at group 2 who's on the computers and say, hey, Emily, I noticed that you probably should redo your fractions quiz. Or, hey, Peter, I noticed you're only on question 2. You should probably get going a little bit faster. Or, hey, Anthony, great job. I noticed you're already through the set section. Nice work, while I'm doing other stuff. So that was kind of something that just kind of hit my mind, and I'm like, hey, that'll be really efficient for me. I'm sure other teachers have totally done that, and they probably did it before school even started, and that would have been really efficient. So I did that, and it has worked fantastic. So I just named them like 3rd hour group 1, 4th group 2, fourth group 3, fourth group, however many groups I have. And so now in my grade book, I can just show that group, so that was really helpful for me. It was really super nice. Also doing like communication with parents. I'm not feeling quite as caught up this year, so trying to make all of that happen. And we're getting into, lots more regular stuff, but I will say, finishing up week 2, that module 0 was so successful. One thing I find in blending is the things that I do, I love. I don't really mean to have them pay off quite so huge, but I go, hey, that was an assessment for myself from last year doing that module 0. It taught them so much on the blended portal, and it hit so many things that I always have to re-hit in the middle of the year anyway. And now I'm looking into the future modules we're getting ready to go into, and I'm like, oh, so awesome, because we hit that in that module. So awesome, so great, so great, so great. We hit that in the module. That's going to be so helpful. It just got them on point. It got them in the routine. It hit so many key concepts that we need. I'm so glad I did it. Just the module 0, and not just kind of an introduction to blended or a welcome to the school year, but an actual math module 0. So for me as a resource, I used mathaids.com. That has just turned into one of my favorite websites in the whole wide world. It's got so many great tools, and you can kind of formulate your worksheets, and it's free. I love free. I use a lot of things that are free. And I got to really pick and choose and kind of formulate and build exactly what I wanted. And then I created packets and sections within those packets. And for me personally, on blended, just so you know what I did in that module 0, I made an expression section, a fraction section, a slope and line sections for most of my classes. And they worked through those. I did not grade those, but they had a quiz on each section, which just really counted as an assignment, and that's what got graded. And so we worked through those, and they kind of worked through them as groups, and we pushed through them and whatever. And then the quiz at the end of those sections, that what was actually in their portal. And so that way, for students who were new to the portal, they could spend their time focusing on the math, and then they could spend their time focusing on the technology. And so it was kind of a back and forth, and it was great. I actually handed them the paper quiz, and they worked on it on paper, and then they went to the technology, and they spent their time inputting the answers into the technology. And so it was a really good back and forth where they could learn the math, review the math, and then they could learn the technology and review the technology. And so it was a great way to intro in. And again, it was math they really should have known, but we were refreshing right off summer. So I think week 2 was a huge success. Oh my goodness, I'm still learning. My first 2 class hours in the day are gigantic, so I'm actually doing 3 stations, 3 groups that are huge. But I'm figuring it out, and I think it's gonna be great, and it's already going well. My favorite thing about doing surveys is that your kids write things that make you go, okay, it's working. Okay, they're getting it. And we are having some successes. And if you don't do surveys in your class and you're a blended teacher, I would highly encourage you to do it. It's so easy. I can share with you. My surveys are, the first question is, tell me, what you think you've learned in this module. The second question is on a scale of 1 to 10, where were you before or 1 to 5, where were you before the module? And the third question is on a scale of 1 to 5, where were you after the module? And it literally takes them, 1 to 4 minutes to take the survey. Some kids really like to get into it, but it's a 2-second thing at the end of your module. It has been, I didn't mean for it to be this, but it's been so encouraging for me. And it's also just another great formative assessment for you to show your administrators, for you to show people in your program, for you to help you get funding, for you to help you get aid when you're applying for grants, when you're doing different things that will help your program. And it has been one of the best things I've put into my program. So, and again, here I am, the beginning of another year, launching another program and with another new group of students, and I find myself at 6:30 a.m., between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. this morning, grading papers from home on my laptop. And I'm going, oh, stations are a little different than what I expected. And I'm reading surveys and I'm going again, okay, it's worth it. It's worth it. It always is. You know, you just find all these things that encourage you. And it's just great. If you are a blended teacher and you don't do surveys, I would really encourage you to do it. If you'd like ideas, talk to other blended teachers. They're great resources. I'd love to be a resource for you. So week 2, it's growing. It's an animal. First quarter is always an animal, so my videos always end up being a little longer in first quarter. But I'm excited to see where it's going to go. My kids are gaining traction already, and we're really getting into the nitty-gritty curriculum in week 3. It's going to happen. So I'm excited to see where week 3, 4, and 5 especially go. So thanks for watching Life of an Idaho Teacher. First quarter teachers, hang in there. It's going to be awesome. And we'll see you next week.